Lord took my wife and myself through an extensive period of rooting out a lot of, because I mean, there was a time where like, I don't know, 7 years ago, um, where we were really, really we watched a lot of stuff, and it was just at odds with where the Lord was calling us. And it was one of those things, like you were saying, like, what did that do for you? You watched 4 hours, or you're caught up on all your shows, or you're all caught up on this or that. And just realizing, like, we were having nightmares, we were having, and a bed was shaking in the middle of the night. And the Lord just started, and I thought, for me, it was like, well, I feel called into the film industry, the arts and entertainment. So does my wife. And so it's like, both of us are like, well, we need to be aware. We need to be brushed up on all of the latest and greatest. We need to be in the know. The FOMO was very real. And the Lord just was like, hey, I want you to stop watching that show. And I didn't realize how much of an idol it had become. Some of these things some of these shows, I was like, no, the Lord's not telling me to do that. No, it's fine. And then that feeling would subside, and then it would come back even stronger, and I'd be like, no. And then it happened repeatedly, of me just trying to suppress the voice of the Lord, and finally I was like, my wife Lauren and I came together, and both were just like, yeah, I'm hearing the exact same thing. So we got rid of it, and it sort of started this snowball effect where we just started cutting so much out of our lives. And I remember I just started, there was a part of me I was relieved, but at the same time frustrated, because I'm like, well, God, what gives? Like, I need to be in the know. I need to be, and I didn't hear anything from him. And this goes back to what you're saying about sometimes the word of the Lord comes to you over an extended period of time,
Yes.
And finally, after years of doing this, I remember it came to me last year. And so stay the course. The lesson is stay the course.
Amen.
And he said, I'm calling you, and this is for everybody, by the way, I'm calling you to be a voice, not an echo. And I think that was really profound for me, because it all made sense. I was like, oh my goodness, because it's true. It's like my imagination, my creativity exploded when I did that. And so I think that because I wasn't relying on man's corrupted, icky, and you feel, oh, well, there's some good things in there. Not all of it's bad. And there's something that I say a lot to people, and it's that there are some things that Christians shouldn't do. Yes. Or shouldn't watch. Yes. Or shouldn't listen to. Yes. But then there are also some things that the Lord calls you specifically not to. And I think that for me, for a long time, I would take my own personal convictions over things that the Lord called me not to watch or not to do or whatever, and I would immediately put it on everybody else. So everybody else should be doing this too, because look how holy am I, says I. And so I think that that's another thing to remember as well. Is but I also will say this: if you're wrestling with something and you've been going back and forth, oh, I don't know, no, the Lord wouldn't. There's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do this thing or watch this thing or whatever. Just let it go. Like, nothing is so important that you should keep it in your life. Like, if you're really wrestling with something, like, nothing's so important. Like, the Lord is what's important. Like, he's the one that matters, and that's something that's just like a righteous, just like passion that I feel swelling within me. Is nothing is so important. It's that whole no, you don't, thing. It's like nothing is so important that we need it in our lives. The only thing we need is Christ. Like, that's who we need.
Amen.
Especially in this day and age, Our generation is just very, you know, I feel like that's something that even amongst Christians, you know, in our generation, I think that there is a lot of that where it's like, well, no, I need this as
Mm.
well. You know, I
Yes.
need Christ with a little Netflix on the side, you know, like,
Right.
or whatever. And I'm not condemning all these things. I'm just saying,
Right.
you get what I'm
We've
saying?
all been there.
Oh,
We've all done that. I mean, we've all walked this. I mean, that's what I love about God is we're all on a different path, but every path leads to the same place, and that's Jesus Christ.
yeah.
So we're on these different paths, and that's what I love about the Holy Spirit is he's directing and guiding each of us as we yield to him.
Mhm.
He will lean on you and say, hey, and give you this odd feeling, or even
Mhm.
he'll give you an idea. Like for me, when he started bringing me out of that stuff, like he did with you, the Holy Spirit said to me, instead of watching that show, I want you to watch this teaching on
Mm.
YouTube. And so I said, okay. And so the second I did that, it broke my addiction to that show. And instead, I became addicted to listening to teachings from like Kenneth Hagin and these
Mhm.
generals. So what God did is he didn't replace the time that I enjoyed doing that. He didn't say, oh, you just have to sit in the corner and don't speak or don't,
Be
he
boring.
replaced
Yeah.
it with something that would benefit my soul, that would
Yeah.
benefit my spirit. And so that's what I love about God is he understands your desires. And if you're a person who loves movies and loves all of
Mhm.
that, listen, God might shift it from horror or something like that to maybe something better, but you still have that desire, and he's not going to
Mhm.
completely take it because he can speak to you through movies or through
Mhm.
shows, or he can speak to you through any way he wants, through a bird, through a numbers, any way. God can speak to you in any way and always wants to. So be perceptive. God's always speaking to you, but it's the job of the Holy Spirit to really lead you and guide you, and all he
Mhm.
wants you to do is yield. So
Mm.
just say to the Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, I yield to you, and I thank you for leading and guiding me on the path of my destiny for my
Mm.
life, and I trust
Good.
in you. And then just go with the inner witness or the inner feeling of whatever he's leading you to do. And I'm telling
Mhm.
you, your life will become so blessed, and you'll have so much favor of God on your life that these deep desires in your heart start to open up. When we're obedient to the Lord and obedient to the Holy Spirit, you always will see fruit from it,
Mhm.
because a man reaps what he sows. And
Mhm.
so if we're sowing into the Spirit and listening to God's voice, we're going to reap his destiny and his plan
Come
and
on.
his benefits for our life. We're going to have abundant life. That's what
That's
the
good.
Lord told me this year. He said, I am cutting things off from my children. I'm removing strongholds. I'm removing things from their thinking because
Mhm.
I want my body to walk in abundant life.
Mm.
So these things are getting taken from you for the benefit of abundant life. And when
Mm.
you know that, it's easier to let go, and you'll enjoy letting go because it brings you closer to the Father. And who
Exactly.
doesn't want to be closer to the Lord? I mean, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful life.